start just by having everybody introduce themselves, what film they worked on, and what role they played on that film. We obviously have a large amount of people here, so right after that, I may start us off with one question, and then if you have a question in the audience, please raise your hand, try to make eye contact with me, and then we'll open up to the audience after that. So why don't we start on this end?
Everyone here, right?
And just so you all know, my name is Rajiv Sagamani. I teach screenwriting at Illinois State University, and I'll be your moderator for today.
Hello everyone, I'm Rushan, Jesani. I'm a writer, director, producer of Khadda. It's a sports film that you just watched. And thank you for watching. And it's my world premiere.
Hi there, my name is Fawad Siddiqui, and I played Madhav in the father in the film you just saw. Was I a good father? And we're representing the father.
Hey everyone, I'm Rajan. I'm the writer and director of Rajapart, the first film that played, and this is also our world premiere.
Hey everyone, I'm Vishal Desai, and I'm the editor of Rajapart.
Hi everyone, I'm Neil Tuli. I'm the writer-director of Birdie Cricket.
Hi everyone, I'm Anita Chandwani. I played the mom in Birdie Cricket.
Hello everyone, this is Ali A. Kazmi. I played John in the short film John. I'm also the writer of the film.
Hello everyone, my name is Arshad Mohamed, and I am the director of John that you just saw.
Hello everyone, my name is Renu Rajan. I play Karishma in Dosh, and I'm representing the AFI team and director Radha Mehta.
Hello everyone, my name is Prince Tai. I worked on the film Khadda, and I was costume designer and production designer.
So before I open it up, I just kind of wanted to start out with those of you who are the writers or directors, and even if you're in it, for who wants to jump in. Obviously, all of these films were stellar. The amount of time, money, energy poured into them. And I kind of wanted to start out with what was the inspiration or the passion to tell the stories that were being told. And so anyone who wants to start can jump.
Just because I guess it's fresh on the mind. The film is by a filmmaker named Abhineet Kumar, and he is a recent graduate of the USC Film School. It's a very personal story. It's based on a real incident between him and his father. His father used to hit the kids when they were young. His father was worked for the embassy, for the Indian embassy. They would travel around the country doing 2 years abroad and 1 year back. He desperately wanted to come to America. He loved films as a kid. And this was his chance. And he was working a second job to try and get enough money for legal fees. And somebody outed him at work, he suspects. And they had to go back, and Mr. Zemi had, and this is based on one real incident with the basketball hoop where the father went too far and hurt him. He has a good relationship with his father now, and the father's supportive of his filmmaking. So it's an intensely personal story for Abhineet, and he was very open with collaboration, and they did it a different way. We talked for 2 days before the film even started filming, and he cried after that. That one scene of the beating, he started crying, and I hugged him. So it was a very intimate filmmaking experience and very important to him, and that's the story behind it.
I mean, one of the things I wanted to kind of say to all of you that resonated, obviously all of these films, and I didn't do the programming, really complicated parent-child, grandparent-child relationships. None of them were super simplified, right? Like they were just as complicated and messy as real life, and especially in that last film. You know, you're going through this roller coaster of like, do I love him? Do I hate him? Like, oh, this is real life, right? And maybe a little bit of both. So beautiful by all of you.
So my inspiration for the story was
Remind us of the film again too.
So my film is Khadda again, and I'm the writer-director. So it was a question that was always not asked me, but always told to me that you're just gonna handle your father's business. and you're not gonna do anything else. So it was like a personal story to me, and I was like, I'm more than it. So it's for making my own name and my own thing and it's on the screen, so that's it.
Awesome. Yeah, so for Rajapart, inspiration, I pulled a lot from a few different places. One is my own culture, so I'm Tamil. The play that they are staging in the film is the story of Kannagi, which is a old Tamil folktale. So, like a big motivator of mine was to sort of bring my culture to people who may not be exposed to it before. But also, I feel like I'm just so fascinated by any sort of art form, and especially with theater, it's so different from film because of how live it is. And I think that it just seems like a whole different challenge. If something goes wrong, you got to think on your feet. And I just want to capture that experience of that anxiety in situations like that, because certainly I've been in situations like that when performing live or even on like film sets. There's a lot of thinking on your feet, and I really just wanted to capture that emotion and that experience.
I'm Neil Tuli, Birdie Cricket, the golf one, and I really wrote this. It was started as a love letter to my late mother. She passed away when I was 23, and you just realize, I think, there's a very specific type of advice and relationship and push and pull with having an immigrant mom and being the American-born kid and having that so I just wanted to capture that, and I wanted to have some fun with it, and I wanted to kind of pay homage a little bit, and so this was my first short film as well. So
so Chand.
I didn't know. I'm an actor in Birdie Cricket. So I found the story very personal when I read the script and my agent sent me for the audition, and I was just like, yes, my parents passed away as well, and as I'm an older actress now, I enjoy try to bring the heart and authenticity to the immigrant generation roles I've been playing now, without kind of playing it for too much humor in a stereotypical way, and try to find the heart. So this script lent itself really beautifully, and I had no hesitation in wanting to be in it. So thank you, Neil.
A beautiful performance. I think there are two actors in one room, and it was captivating. I mean, a lot of these were kind of two actors. So.
First, I want to say I'm inspired by all the answers you all gave today and the films that you all gave. I feel like even the creation of our film Chand has a lot to kind of do with a lot of what everyone said here today. Relationships between children of immigrants and their parents are always complicated, and with our film Chand, we kind of wanted to show that, but show that underneath it all there is a really complicated compassion that sort of shines through. And we grow up with different values and different customs, and despite it all, there's still the love that exists between a mother and a son. So we kind of wanted to capture like a little slice in this character's life and see that moment play out as like raw and intimate as we possibly can. And Ali wrote it, so he's going to say a little bit about it.
Yes, a lot of what he said. I feel like as children of immigrants, you kind of, without reluctantly develop different sets of values. Your parents are from a different world. They're from a different generation. They're from back home, and then you're raised here. You're of their world, but you're also now of this world because you grew up here. Yet you inherit their teachings. Yet you go to school here, and it creates this very complicated dynamic that we wanted to sort of capture. And then underneath all that, like he said, there's this persisting love and persisting relationship that is such a powerful thing, specifically in our film with mother-son, that we wanted to showcase in that particular light. And my job as the actor was just to be as honest as I could with that. Yeah.
Yeah, so Dosh, as many of you know, means fault. And the story is inspired by the director Radha Mehta's personal life events. But really it is to bring discourse around how there is still very much taboo and stigmas around addressing both mental health as well as living with any kind of physical impediment. And really the nuance between what you can see physically versus what you cannot see on the mental health side. And for me, it was a beautiful opportunity to also show that through a female gaze, especially within the South Asian households where females are taking responsibility for many different roles as caretakers, but also trying to find how they self-advocate amongst those layered roles. So in this film, I think that was a blessing to just see that journey of liberation and self-advocacy and really confronting those difficult conversations within our families.
Amazing.
Again, congrats to everyone filmed. It was beautiful to watch. This is my second film working with Rushan. Oh man, he dreams very big. So like working with him as a costume designer, production designer, it's fun, but it's like also pressure because he has so many big ideas. And you're trying to like, okay, it's a short film, so let's bring him down. So
20 soccer players.
yeah. So it was a really fun experience. Shooting his project was my first time out the country. So Mumbai, India was the first country I've been to. So I had a really wonderful experience.
You're one of us now.
Well, yeah, his family fed me like crazy, so I would say that. But the inspiration came from, so after like talking with him with what he wanted to do, so it was really like, the film focused on social issues. So I was like, well, it's going to be very hard for the audience to like, connect with a rich character. So it's like, how do, that's one of the challenges because no one really thinks about wealthy people. It's more so you see like people who come from a poor background and they're the focus. But one of the things we wanted to do with Khadda and with the Aryan characters to make him stand out, make him like seem like very pure and innocent. So that's why he like wore white throughout the whole entire film. The blue came from, so I had seen a picture of like Mumbai, like it's weird, there's a photo, like an aerial landscape. So on one side there's blue, and on one side is green. Apparently like on the blue side is where all like, I guess, the poor and the slums lives at. So that's what took inspiration for City of Seas colors, and that was one of the mandatory color for Rushan, for the characters to have in the film, for that team to represent blue, because all those characters come back from a poor background. So that's why they're very like, strict on who they allow, and that's why they had a hard time with Aryan. But yeah, I had a really fun time with this project, and I can't wait to go back to India again. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this will be the last project
I'm going to open it up for questions. One other just kind of point of pride for myself is just representation. Like as far as the fact that, there was a point in time where it was like a poo, a terrorist, a doctor, right? Those are the three roles that you were going to go up for, right? And to see so much complexity, right? Like golfers, disabilities, like physical and mental disabilities being portrayed, and the complexity both that the filmmakers and having the actors to execute was beautiful to see across the board through all of the films. So huge round of applause. So any questions from the audience for any of the films, just please mention which film so that we can get it to the right filmmaker. If you could stand that,
first off, excellent films. I had a quick question with regards to, it's tough, I guess, making films in two languages. So you have the English and then the mother tongue of the characters. So how were you able to choose at what points you wanted the characters to speak what language for the kind of impart and the importance of that dialogue?
So our film was very interesting. There's the film itself, and then there's the making of the film. And when it comes to these South Asian subject matters and Indian and brown in general subject matters, brown people, because I'm an actor, we're all actors that will get cast for Arabs, Iranians, Turks. I played 20 Afghans in The Kite Runner at CIBC earlier this summer. So the discussion, and as we know in this room, it's not a monolith. You're not a billion people with 50 languages and different cultures. And so that was one of the beautiful parts of our film, was the discussion about that. Abhineet is a Diliwala, and my family is from Karachi in Pakistan, and before that from Uttar Pradesh, from a small town there. So we speak a very specific kind of Urdu, and they speak a different kind of Urdu, and the accents are different. For him, what was also interesting is that Abhineet is an immigrant. He's a current immigrant. He arrived here for college, him and his brother. So I'm second generation, you know. I do speak Urdu at home because our nani's always been there. We all speak that, Urdu/Hindi, and you know, adapting it. He had for him it's very specific. His dad speaks Hindi, his mom and dad speak Hindi. They speak Hindi at home. He gave me all this copious. Again, this was a weird filmmaking experience because usually when you're guard number 4 or bodega man, it doesn't happen. But he gave me a whole packet full of stuff of his dad and sound clips, discussions with his dad. Beautiful. I had this wonderful, beautiful getting to know each other. So for him, it was a given that the characters would be speaking those languages, that the parents would be speaking Hindi, and the kids would be speaking American because it's from them. But for me, the actor, and for him, the filmmaker, having that discussion, that wonderful discussion between two very different Indian, South Asian, Indian, Filipino people, and the cast in general. Mona's Punjabi, the wife, the kids are born in America. Like, so there are these discussions that happen on a micro level, and hopefully it comes across in a passable way. But that was for him. Anyone else?
For me, I'm a really Hindi speaker kind of guy. But for example, there is this thing that I think about. So English hurts, but Hindi dil pe lagti hai. So that's what I think while I'm writing with the character.
Let's open it up. It's another question.
You know, in India, when we were growing up, we speak 2-3 languages simultaneously in the country. That's because if you're, I speak Bengali at home, but since I've brought up in Delhi, I'm constantly Hindi, Bengali, English, and I feel equally comfortable in all 3 because that's the way we grew up. And only in America people speak maybe one language, but you know, even in Europe and in India, is our Bengali or our Hindi is punched with so much English we don't even realize it. So that's the kind of language everybody in India speaks because it's so multilingual. It's just so it's not just the immigrant household. India is also same story.
Any other questions?
We have a couple. Yeah. Go. Yeah. Here too. Please.
Yeah.
I hope you guys, oh, that was loud, sorry. I hope you don't mind, but I think this is gonna help you guys all socialize. I'm thinking a little bit further as a filmmaker. From each of you, a 10 to 15 second soundbite on the questions that we should be asking you. What is something that you have not been asked that we should be asking you? If we can go down the line, we can record it for you and you have something for social.
Let's start on that and just to get a little what should you be asked?
What is the question that you haven't been asked that you want to be asked? About you or your work?
I guess the question is, how is it like working with the director?
Okay. Pass the mic down. Quick. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very lucky that Dosh has been in the film festival circuit for the last year, so we are very, very blessed. So what I will take this opportunity to do is plug the fact that I have my own first film playing here on Saturday. So it's called A Newlywed Story. So I'll say what I would love to be asked and paraphrase it back to you all is how being in such powerful films and being given an opportunity as just an actor and seeing so much support from the indie world actually helps us think outside the box, and it is in this case what inspired me to make my own film, which is playing on Saturday. But I think we should ask more of the artists how this work can help them move forward in their careers.
Awesome. I'm not going to top that. I guess I would like someone to ask me, if I would like more funding to make more films.
That's a yes for everyone. Will you take my money? That's a
I would love that question.
Okay, I have not been asked many questions about this film thus far, like just in general. So, sorry to move the party, but like I'm open to I'm curious what questions people have or what people want answers to. I'm like, I'll answer whatever.
Well, like yourself, I'm working on a short film myself, so Jigger, you might get a submission from me eventually when I get around to it, but that's why I'm asking so many questions about budgets.
I guess I'm always interested just in what are the trade-offs other filmmakers had to make in production. Some folks, have to compromise in one area for budget or for creative or for story. So I'm always really interested like what those differences were between the films because I know them in my own film. And then would you do them again, or would you make a different decision in the future? So I like production questions.
Well, as an editor, I'd love some editing questions.
I would love to be asked about what it was like working with my wonderful cast and crew, because so many of them are out here, and I'd love to sing my praises to them.
For me, it'd be, what is it like balancing the responsibility of your own personal artistic expression and endeavor as an actor and an artist, and the weight of representing a fourth or a third or a half of the world's population, which we end up doing in these spaces. At a time when the post-colonial structure of the world is collapsing, where brown bodies don't matter, people are getting massacred. There's all these shifts going on culturally, and our society interacts with that world, both in a physical way, a political way, a military way, and then also in an artistic way, ignorantly many times, blind to Bollywood for so many years, and all the money and all this stuff shifting around. So like when you are that actor that's in the mix, I've been an actor for 18 years, studied at Second City in IO, and then got into TV film. I've been on 20 TV shows. I had my first Law and Order episode 4 or 5 months ago. Thank you. And just a little bit of now Broadway and this, but in the trenches, acting is not glamorous. For the most part, you're sleeping on couches, you're hustling around forever. And acting in the arts in our countries is even more of a struggle. I've done improv workshops in Pakistan, street theater artists and stuff that really their lives are on the line. So all of this is blind, invisible. All of this is invisible. You got one guy on Big Bang Theory, and God bless that guy. That guy kicks ass. And all of us, out there hustling. But there is a deeper discussion to have along these, and these films touch on it. So I wish I would get the chance to discuss those issues, and I'm thankful to have that chance here to discuss them, and we need to keep having these and to speak up and do whatever we can right now for the people suffering.
So the one question that I would love audience to ask is like the process of the filmmaking and how each and everyone contributes to one vision, and that's not easy for everyone because everyone has to sacrifice something or the other, and a lot of sacrifices goes through the whole lot of project and it's like one film at the end. So that's what I would love to know.
All right, do we have more questions? I feel like I saw a few more hands. And from now on, let's try to do questions for one person so that we can get as many as we can.
Yeah, I have a question for Am I a Good Father? What was it shot on? Because it was very unique. It was very, I don't know if it was digital with the filter. I don't know if it was film, but I was very curious on that.
Yeah, it was digital with the filter. These kids were the great thing about that movie is Abhineet was graduating from grad school at USC Film School, and he lived in an apartment complex with all his graduating cohort, and they were all taking turns being each other's crew. So the entire cast was young, sensitive filmmakers. So entire crew. So the grip, the lighting guy, everybody, you can have this great conversation. They're all just these sensitive, nice people. So they did all that, and they're going to be phenomenal moving forward. Some of them, Chris Marola, Abhineet, Edward, who was a DP. Look for those names in that credit list, and they're all going to be making movies. So.
Thank you.
I think we had a question back there. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. First of all, I just wanted to say I have a comment for Team Khadda. I loved your film. I particularly loved some of the scenes, like the scene where he hits the ball and they look at each other like the true spirit of sportsmanship, and also that dialogue where he says, "Everything's of my father. I don't have anything of my own." I really liked that. My question was for all of you. It's about distribution strategy. Given the recent, recognition for, South Asian films, particularly with what happened with Payal Kapadia's film at Cannes, do you feel the distribution of your films has become easier? Like, what has changed, for South Asian filmmakers in the distribution space?
For me,
1 to 2 answers for who's passionate to speak.
just a simple thing. Distribution is a very difficult task to go through because it's not easy, because all the producers and every person who's like on the distribution panel like categorizes a film that this is a South Asian film. So it's like off the table as point right there. That's what I feel and that's what I've heard.
Any other thoughts from the...
It's a short, so I'm not, I don't know the specific distribution. But I will say earlier today, someone played a film and they talked about how they sold it to an OTT and it was specific to a region in India, and it was a specific streaming platform for that region. And I just think maybe, there is more opportunities if you can reach globally and look expansively, and there are more, maybe they're smaller, but I do think that there are different places to put your film. Amuleto on YouTube picks up like really high-end films and then optimizes them for search, and so people who can't get many views will get it on Amuleto and then they'll get 30, 40, 100,000 views that they never would have gotten. So I'm not saying it's super easy, but I definitely think there are maybe more opportunities than there were.
Anyway, another question back there.
First of all, it was truly fantastic. All of the films were so good. It's an honor to watch them, and congratulations to all of you. I just wanted to ask, how much time did it take to make the last film that we saw, Am I a Good Father? How much time? And what was the process that children went through to understand the acting, the role, and if you can?
So we shot for 2 weeks in Los Angeles, and I know that he'd been writing and wanting to write this story for a number of years. But the filming was 2 weeks in Los Angeles. It was kind of a dream for me. They found me on IMDb, reached out to my agent in New York, and they flew me out there, and they put me up for 2 weeks. It was great. The kids are fantastic, as we could see. Can I just ask for a round of applause for the kids, my brother-in-law? These kids are amazing, and they are working actors, hustling actors. They had... how am I forgetting his name? Vihan, the kid playing Avi. He's done theater. His parents are very supportive. His little sister's amazing. So these kids were ready to go. And as someone said earlier, this is a sign of the generation now, this talent that we have now that we did not have before. And the other kid, Winston, also his mom was there, super supportive. They did a little bit of improv before, little practice. And again, Abhineet's rehearsal process was different. He just called us in early for 2 days. Talk, play, discuss. I loved it. As Chris, the other producer, said, these are young filmmakers. They want to try and change the game a little bit, have a more human process, a more caring process. And so they did some improv games. They were very welcoming of ideas on set, and these kids knocked it out of the park. It was fantastic. All the praise to them.
For the editor of Rajapart, could you talk us through the process of working with music and how to build that soundtrack and all that? Because I know that's a whole separate thing that needs to be done, and the input of the director as well, please.
Thank you for the question. Well, the music is something that I didn't directly work on. We cut it the way Adi was envisioning it, and then the music came in afterwards. But we did work with the sound designer and the musician to build a feel for the film, a feel for the story that would work with the emotions of the characters. Adi worked directly with the musician as well, so I think he would have a better understanding.
Sure, yeah. Working on the music was really interesting. One, it was a very unique experience for me because our composer lives in Mumbai, so working, across the ocean was like an interesting challenge, at least in terms of scheduling and stuff. But he was great. I think we were, as Vishal mentioned, we really kind of locked in the edit before we started working on the music. But it was really a lot of discussion between me and the composer, and being very intentional with the types of sounds. So, we're kind of seeing the size of the theater that we have in the film. So maybe we don't have a whole orchestra worth of instruments. We are more intentional about what instruments correspond to certain emotions in certain scenes. Maybe at some points they're more heightened. We hear more dynamics in terms of the sounds. So it was really a lot of discussion, and the story was mainly driving the music. That's what it really all centered back to. It's really the story and the mindset of the characters that really guided us in terms of the music process.
I'll also add that because it was a theater, it was a play, we wanted to kind of give the impression that the music was diegetic.
I think we have a question up there.
Hi, my name is Vandana, and being an actor, I had a question from the actors of Dosh and was I a good father, since your characters were based on real life or inspired by a real life incident or a character who actually acted, the father. What was your process like? Were you, or the discussion with the director, like you said that you were given a lot of material to go through. The character that we saw on screen, was it we had nuances of the real actor or the real person, jiske upar, this film is based on, or were you thrown in the wind and, do your thing and this is the inspiration?
Do you want to start?
Yeah. For Dosh, it did feel like a very big responsibility, knowing that this story stems from. Yeah, for Dosh, it did feel like a big responsibility, knowing that this was inspired by Radha's story, and knowing that she's also directing me. I think the beauty of filmmaking is that each collaborator brings their own creative perspective. And so for me, it was also important to understand why I, as an actor, am drawn to this character. For me, it's a story about a woman just exploring her sense of self and dealing with many obstacles to advocate for herself. And if you are a member of a South Asian household, we all have different stories of struggle and dysfunction and having to confront those struggles, and whether those struggles take the form of mental health or physical disability, it varies from story to story. And so I had to imbibe, what that meant for me in terms of knowing what my grandmother or my mother or my aunt have struggled or not been able to self-advocate for, and make sure that I was bringing that voice and perspective into my character study. That being said, I spent a lot of time with Radha. Because this was a film coming out of the American Film Institute, they require a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to rehearsals, a proof of concept, an entire video storyboard. So because I was spending a lot of time with Radha, I also deeply understood her perspective, and that was vital in terms of me understanding what she really wanted to make sure was conveyed. So it definitely was a melding of both my perspective and hers.
So, yes, big responsibility you feel for something like this. Abhi's dad, the real life mother, he is such an interesting guy, and so different from my dad. My parents were one of the first Pakistani couples in Miami, Florida, and South Florida. Big community leaders. My dad was this big, bombastic, fun, jovial guy. My mom was a principal of Sunday school at this masjid for like 40 years. So big personalities, very different from this guy. But I knew this guy. Like when I saw this footage, and you know, one thing, he gave me audio clips of just discussions between him and his dad. And one is a beautiful, they're on a shot by in Delhi, and they're just talking about the stars and life. And I'm listening to this guy, I feel like a eavesdropper in his life. In his, but when you saw his footage, he looked like an uncle that I see at the Dawat, but not the loud uncle, like the uncle in the back. He's bald, he's mostly stone-faced, and he'll bust out with a big smile. So I'm not this Daniel Day-Lewis, you know, I'm not like this perfect physical mimic. So I tried, and the Urdu accent I put on is not a real thing, man. I'm from Miami, Florida, you know, but I can't, if I want to, I could talk like this my entire life. Like I just switch over and I'll just be there like all of us. But is that accurate to his, you know, and that Indian accent was a popul instead of purple, like, you know, I tried my best, and I think in the end, the edits that he took captured it. I have such a closeness to these people now and such a love for Abhi, who's a sweetheart. So this was so different than any other project, and it was such a blessing to do. Yeah, man, I don't know. And I'm going to have this connection with them for my whole life now, which is beautiful. Also, Abhi was very open to melding. So, like, his dad was into more music. The drawing is me. I draw, I sketch. So he included that in the film, and he was open to changing it. So it's a mixing of me and his dad. And he kind of, he's young, I call him a kid, but he's like 33. But he's so innocent and young. So he kind of became like my kid. Like, like we have this bond now. Yeah, that's great.
I think we have time for maybe 1 to 2 more questions if anybody has a burning question. I think there's one in the back over there.
I have a question for Anita. You were specifically talking about bringing heart to the roles you play. Can you talk more about that?
Thank you. Sure. Well, with this one, it was pretty easy. I think it's tougher with like more aggressive comedies because if they're not written by South Asians, they want you to kind of lean into the accent and lean into the head and lean into, you know, the cultural, I don't want to say idiosyncrasies, but maybe, yeah. But with this, it was easier because it was more serious in tone, and so I felt like all I really needed to do was, you know, maybe say Neil's lines relate to the son, and then maybe keep in mind the way my parents spoke, which wasn't like a thick stereotypical accent after, you know, being here for like 50, 60 years. It was more softened. It had a little bit, you know, of the British Indian. So like bringing the heart, I think I mean just not me, the actor, making fun or commenting on the character, just kind of playing each intention very intentionally and honestly, and it's all about the relationship. So I think that, I don't know if that answered your question, but when I say bring heart to it, that's kind of what I mean. It's like strip away the you know, the other stuff and focus on the relationship and what your what this person means to you and what you want for them, or maybe of them, depending on the scenario in the script. But that's kind of what I mean. So.
We have one more question. Right back here, last question.
Hi, I had a question for Birdie Cricket. I love the set because I think it all happened in one room, which was really nice because there was a lot happening with the clothes and the golf course. But I just want to see what your reasoning was to choosing like a garage to stage it all out.
I think that actually the very first iteration of this script, the only consistent thing was an Indian kid alone in a garage hitting a ball against a rug. That was like the only thread that really stayed the same. Everything else I rewrote, the characters, like gender, everything I just changed multiple times. And at this version, I think just like knowing, first short, I wanted to have single location, 2 characters, try to be, story heavy and have some comedy and really focus on the writing. It ended up being a lot of work because everything you saw was not like we found that garage and beautiful cameras and like every single inch was touched, and I had a guy like 3 days before the shoot. We just spent like basically those 3 days building all night. 2 of those walls are fake. There's paper behind it. We didn't, we wanted to match the other side. Every single thing was meticulously, and that was really fun. And I wouldn't do it any other way again in the future.
And it was your garage.
And it was my garage. But I did, like I said, a lot of walls were fake.
Yeah, just one last thank you to all the filmmakers. When you make short films, it's, the entertainment industry has all of these airs of glory and riches, and I wish all of those things upon all of you. But beyond and underneath all of that is connection. And I think that all of us here connected with the stories that were being told. And I hope as many other screenings that you have, that this one and the specialness of screening your film in front of people that truly understand it from the inside out is something that you carry with you with every other project.
Let's do a group picture of all of that.